Set 8 has just gone live, and everyone's battling to reach the top of the leaderboard. If you're looking to learn a new AP comp and dominate your games, then this is the carry for you. Today, we're going over Admin Soraka. In the early game, these are the units you're looking for. Lulu works really well as an early carry, especially if you can get Lee Sin for hard 2. If you aren't finding them, Annie plus Lux also works as an early shell with Spellslinger 2. For your frontline, you want Blitz for Brawler 2, and throw in Camille as soon as you find her for Admin 2. It's important to get the Admin trait as soon as possible. This is because a few of the traits in Admin provide long-term scaling. I'll cover that in a little bit, but for now, understand the sooner Admin is active, the better. At level 5, Annie's a good addition if you do not use her in the earlier levels. You don't get a synergy bonus here, but she's a great standalone tank, and her traits will be important later on during the mid-game. By level 7, this is roughly how your board might look. If you haven't found enough heart units, you can also play Zoe or Poppy for Gadgeting 3. If you find any LeBlanc at this point, then it's up to you to choose between her and Camille. This depends on if you need more frontline or damage. Heart 4 tends to provide enough damage, but if you lack carry items or have an abundance of tank items, you may want LeBlanc for that extra power, especially if she's 2-starred. This is the toughest part of the game for this build, since your carry is still a 1-cost unit and you aren't slamming items on LeBlanc. If you can manage to get to level 8 with minimal losses, then you're in a solid position to top 4. Now at level 9, this will be your completed board. Soraka, Janna, and Syndra round out the comp, giving you the late game scaling you need to secure first. Since Spellslinger isn't your main carry, you have the option to swap out Annie for something else. But without trait augments, the rest are mandatory, which means Defender and Aegis are a tough fit here. You'll need to be extremely aware of enemy boards and slam the appropriate tank items. At level 8, you want to roll down to secure your carry, to stabilize your board before pushing for level 9. Your priorities are to find Soraka 2-star, then if you're lucky, a single Janna and Syndra. Clumping like this takes advantage of Janna's Forecaster trait, but it won't always be in your benefit to clump up. We'll go into detail during the positioning section, but watch out for enemies that punish grouping up like this, and adjust as needed. This shouldn't be too difficult, as you'll be scouting for enemy damage types anyway. Lastly, make sure to take advantage of Syndra's spell, where she throws a unit from your bench into the battle. If you're able to hold an Urgot, Mordekaiser, or Leona on bench, you can benefit from their spells when Syndra tosses them in. You can also hold units like Cho'Gath, Rammus, and Zac if you haven't found the later game units. These provide solid frontline. Now let's talk about items. Your carry item holder should go from Lulu to Soraka. Optionally, you can also move items to LeBlanc and then Soraka, as long as you're willing to remake units. An alternative option for Lulu is to have Lux hold items when you're forced into a Spellslinger 2 opening. For items, blue buff is a must. It's Soraka's core item, and Shojin just does not compare. Her last 2 items can be any AP items. My favorites are Giant Slayer and Jeweled Gauntlet. Now you can slam Archangel Staff and Death Cap if you need to, but since Heart provides AP and it's possible Admin can too, you get less value from raw ability power than percent power increases. For tank items, Sunfire Cape and Warmogs are super powerful in the early game right now. You'll want to avoid Gargoyle Stoneplate since you're always going to have multiple frontline. If you need to, then slam it. But otherwise, those components should go to either Bramble Vest or Dragon's Claw. To know which one to slam, you'll need to scout enemy boards and choose the item that best fits the game. Finally, for extra items, Shojin on LeBlanc, Syndra, or Janna can go a long way for extra damage or CC. Redemption on Janna or a secondary tank provides great healing and anti-AoE protection, which is important in this comp since you may find yourself clumped up a lot. Along those lines, Protector's Vow is also a solid pickup for any secondary tank. If you want to improve fast, then you need to sub to my channel so you never miss out on the latest meta updates and comp guides like this one. Before we go into augments, let's talk about the admin trait. There's several options that work in this comp, so be on the lookout for the ones I mentioned. For triggers, you'll want on cast, on kill, units gain every 3 auto attacks, team wide every 5 seconds, team wide at the start of combat, and anything after that doesn't matter, so just take what you can get. Now for the buff effects, you want chance to drop gold, gain stacking AP, gain permanent max health, gain mana, gain max percent health shield, and heal. Broken down more simply, you want the econ bonus most of all, followed by stacking stats, then temporary stats, and if nothing else, then healing. 2 choices you never take is gain stacking attack damage and gain attack speed. Since neither of those choices benefit your comp, and you're always offered 3 options, you can always take the 3rd choice. Now let's talk about augments. Luden's Echo provides huge damage, and since Soraka casts so quickly, she makes great use of this. Heart Emblem traits are super important. You can either throw in an extra Gadgeteen or go for Heart 6. Either way, this is a must grab. Admin trait augments are also just as broken for the same reason. It allows you more flexibility, and you can fit in more traits like Gadgeteen or Defender. Blue Battery is busted in this comp. The main mana effect doesn't stack with blue buff, but since blue buff does reduce the mana cost of your spell, it's still great together. Cybernetic Uplink is a strong choice here. Although Soraka doesn't need it as much, most of your units benefit, so it's still a great choice to pick up. Cybernetic Shell is excellent if you need more frontline stats. It provides great synergy with Gadgettine as well. Jeweled Lotus is turbo broken here. Most of your units deal AP damage, and since Heart provides scaling raw AP, crit is godlike. You can drop Jeweled Gauntlet for Archangel Staff here. First Aid Kit is not a bad choice for a silver augment. Soraka heals herself when she casts, so this makes her impossible to kill, leading to sick 1v9 rounds. Earth's Grab Bag is actually really great here, because both Admin and Heart emblems can be made, giving you 2 traits to play around. Axiom Arc is super powerful, because Soraka, LeBlanc, and Zoe all have very small mana pools. If any of them score a kill, you can see chain casts often. As for hero augments, because each unit has 2 choices, and some are better than others, I'd rather tell you which units provide the best options. You want to look out for Zoe and Nunu most of all. If you can't find them, frontline hero augments come next, so that would be Annie, Blitzcrank, and Echo only if you have an emblem to give him. Otherwise, remove Echo from the list. Then comes Soraka and Sona, rounding out the priority list. LeBlanc is a desperate choice here. Both of her hero augments are pretty weak in this comp when she's not the carry, but an extra LeBlanc at the right time is useful to snowball. Now for positioning, you either want to be clumped up to take advantage of Janna's unique trait, or be spread out. Let's go over when you want to spread out. Generally, there's a few units you have to spread out against or else you lose. If you see a Fiddlesticks, Urgot, Talia, or Acel, then spread out ASAP. To avoid Fiddlesticks, you need to place your carries on the opposite side of him. Urgot can be dodged by making sure nobody is lined up with him. Imagine trying to dodge a Shroud of Darkness. To dodge Talia, you need to be on the same side as her and have units on the opposite corner to bait out her ultimate. And finally, Acel's targeting is random, so it's best you have your backline split into 2 groups. A bait group and your main carry group with Soraka and Janna in one corner with the rest of the backline in the other corner. You can't account for every single anti-clump threat at once. You need to be scouting to make sure you position correctly or you could lose the round. What did you think of the guide? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Swagadelic.